What's up everybody, that car guy Eddie here, and today another video on the Trail S. Yes, we have more parts from China. That's right, more Kimimoto parts. Why do we have Kimimoto parts? Because Kimimoto is the hottest best friend of the really hot chick. Okay, remember, if you've watched any of the other videos, you have the really hot chick, the Can-Am, and then you have the best friend. No, I'm just kidding. What is that even doing in the neighborhood? Like, where is that going? Anyways, so today what we're doing is we're actually going to be putting on side mirrors. Now, the reason we need to put side mirrors on the Trail S is because every UTV should come with mirrors. If you've ridden a UTV that doesn't have mirrors and you're like, I don't think I need them, and then you ride one with mirrors, you really do need one, which is important. We've actually already done the other side, so hopefully this will go quick. If this is your first time to the channel, thank you very much for coming. I do want to give a shout out to Lynx once again for buying these products. Everybody thinks we get stuff for free. No, don't worry, we do have money pits just like you. So with that being said, we like to bring the most value to the channel. You don't have to buy parts that say Polaris on it just because it's $100 more and you think that's the only option, when you can get a knockoff set that you're probably gonna break anyways. That's right, the mirrors are gonna hit stuff. You're gonna hit them, you're gonna knock them on things, you're eventually gonna break one. And wouldn't it be nice to only pay $70 for a set of mirrors versus $170 for a set of mirrors? Let's bring it in and show you the quality of these. So these are the Kimimoto side mirrors for the Polaris. Now these fit a variety of Polarises. These fit the Pro XP, these fit the Trail S. Do they fit the XP turbos?
I believe so. Yeah,
anything that basically has cage bolts here and they mount to the cage itself. Now, you ask, why is that important? Well, it's important because when you get a windshield or you get anything else that mounts around your roll cage here, you don't want to have your mirror and you slowly have to move your mirror up. Now, a lot of people go, oh, what's the problem with having mirrors higher up on the machine? And I'll show you. My Can-Am, the bolts that the mirrors work for the Can-Am aren't down here. They're actually up top. They bolt right up here. Now you would think, oh, that's really good. I mean, they're out of your way and things like that. However, when you sit in the vehicle and you mount your mirror right here and you look left, you can't see anything except for this beautiful hunk of cupcake here staring at yourself. So if they're down here, they're actually going to be out of the way. You're less likely to be looking down going fast. Typically, if you're going fast, you're going to be looking up. You're going to be looking further ahead of you. If they're down here, you can maneuver around them because that's traditionally when you're going over rocks. So that's the idea between having high and low mounted mirrors, at least my opinion. That doesn't really matter. So let's get into the install. First of all, a couple more things about the Kimimoto. It does have some detents in here. This is all metal. It feels like an aluminum, and it has detents, so it actually will stay in, and it's got a nice positive. You can hear it. There you go. And I'm gonna point something out here. The bolt that is here, that goes through, that holds us on, says 8.8, which leads me to believe this is a grade A bolt. This is gonna be important because what we're gonna talk about here in just a few minutes. So the install is relatively simple. You just need a, what size socket is this? 15 millimeter. I was gonna get the impact, but Lynx doesn't want me to use impact on his brand new machine because, well, we know how it works. You basically take one bolt off at a time. Now, I know that when you install things, it's really quick. You want to take all the bolts off and put them all back on. But if you've never taken apart a roll cage before, this whole thing has some kind of tension on it because it's part of the rigidity of the frame. If you take both of these off, this will shift. And then you'll have to fight with it to get it back on and everything. So if you ever take your roll cage bolts off to put anything on your roll cage, I recommend doing one bolt at a time. That's a pro tip from Lynx, who already did the other side. So let's see if we can get this thing done here. So lefty loosey, righty tighty. We go ahead and take this off. Uh-oh, I just scratched it. It's so pretty, man. I freaking love the gray. All right. Okay, so now here's your factory cage bolt, which says 10.9 on it. It's a grade 8 rated bolt. And these cages, at least on the Trail S and the XP, are actually rated for rollover. Now, when you're talking about rollover, it's important that you understand that it's not just the cage, it's all the components, which means this bolt. Now, Kimimoto does provide you with bolts, and they have to be a little longer because they have to fit through here. So they provide you with a bag of bolts. Let me get that here. There you go. And they provide you with a bunch of them, and the reason why is because these can fit a variety of machines, but our suggestion is to use the stock bolt. The reason why is that if you pull out one of these Kimimoto bolts, and you want to talk about where they may have cut cost, you can feel the weight difference. Man, I wish we had a scale, you know, one of those little drug dealer scales. I wish we had one of those things. You could really tell the difference. Plus, this one doesn't have any markings on it of what it is. So I don't know if this is a grade 8 bolt. I have no idea what grade bolt this is, but it's interesting to me that this doesn't have a marking on it, but the bolt that's actually on this does have a marking on it. Leads me to believe that if this was a quality bolt, it would have something marked on it other than FD. Evidently, this is a Mazda bolt, maybe. For you Japanese import guys, never mind. Okay. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use the stock bolt. Now the trick is, when you use the stock bolt, the only way it's gonna work is if you use the Kimimoto nut. So you kind of gotta mosh podge it a little bit here, okay? So this is the stock nut that comes with it, and this is the Kimimoto nut that comes with it. And you can see it's pretty short, and you need this because it has to set in there just enough to grab on the threads of the bolt to suck it in. If you use this one, it will not work. So once again, you don't use your stock bolts. You actually use the Kimimoto, I'm sorry, you don't use stock nuts, you use the Kimimoto nuts here. So let's go ahead and see if we can do this and not break anything here. So like we said, remove one of these at a time. It's pretty straightforward. Make sure we grab the right nut here. Apply it on the back side. And you don't have to worry about getting a tool back in here, because once it sits in here, the roll cage will actually hold the nut for you, which is nice. Let's see if we can get this done here. No pressure on camera. See how the nut's not spinning because the roll cage is going to go and hold it in here. Now the reason we do one at a time, like I said, is we don't want the cage to spread apart. Don't mind me, I have a dolphin in the garage. Okay. So we get this snug. We don't need it super tight. Like I said, all we're trying to do is prevent the cage from popping apart. But you do want to leave it loose, that way you can still manipulate the mirror. All right, so now let's go ahead and take off the bottom one here. Same thing. See, now normally I would have something very witty to say here, like, where's our mechanic? But I'll tell you, it's before 10 in the morning and he's 25 years old, so I guarantee you he's sleeping right now while we've been up. All right, so we go ahead and take that bolt out, and you see there was no movement in the cage, which is exactly what we want. The cage stayed right where it was to be. If we were to take this bolt out, the cage would move. In fact, you saw I didn't tighten this, but if you look, it's way tight now. I mean, it's not moving because the cage is pulling pressure on it. So we pull the bolt out, come down here, we get a Kimimoto nut. Now, Eddie, why don't these have to be rated? Well, the nuts really don't matter. I mean, the nuts aren't gonna shear if the roll cage moves. So then you just rotate this bad boy down here, and you may have to loosen some of these.
Pull the cage a little too.
Okay. Oh yeah, Link said he had to manhandle it just a little bit to get it to work. Okay, it's cool. Maybe it's a little tight. It's all good. These are the shenanigans of the channel. Oh, you see? When we loosen it, you can actually see the whole thing separate, which is good. Aha! Success! I don't know what my wife is doing. She's going to come over here and do it for me. That's what she does. Okay. Hey, just so everybody knows, if the kids want to play with water balloons, they're going to blow some up across the street. It's the weirdest wet t-shirt contest ever when there's a bunch of children. I mean, pretty sure that guy's on the list for that, but hey, that's why I'm moving, right? All right. All right, so we tighten these down. And you do the same thing. You tighten one a little bit till you get it snug. You move to the next one, you tighten it down, just like lug nuts. You want them to be tightened even. I made this mistake when I installed my back plate on the Can-Am. I tightened the bottom ones down. I was like, woo! And then I went to tighten the top ones down, and I couldn't tighten them at all because the plate was actually sitting like this. So whenever you put bolts on or anything like that, you definitely want to take turns tightening them so that it's nice and flat. We do have a torque wrench over here because on that car guy Eddie here, we are professional and we totally do it. The foot pounds on these is 33?
I think it's roughly 40.
40? Okay, here we go. There we go, 40. Ooh, I love torque wrenches. I feel so professional when I use them. Like if it strips, it's not my fault. There we go. All right, so we pull this back here. Now, when you do pull it back, there's one more thing that you do have to do. You do have to tighten this bolt here. And the reason why is you're gonna get a lot of slop. And even if you put it here, you'll see they kind of go back at all. Now, I will tell you that originally, Lynx was gonna spend the money and buy the Polaris ones. That was, however, until he saw the Polaris ones. And the Polaris ones were way cheaper and not as thick and not as good quality. So with that being said, we just stayed with the Kimimoto ones for $100 cheaper. What was your experience with the Polaris ones, Lynx?
I took a look at them and I wasn't impressed, especially not at the price point.
Yeah,
they felt thinner than these. The D10s didn't feel any stronger. Just not impressive.
Yeah, for $100 more. I mean, and really, when I tell people about any type of aftermarket things, power sports, cars, power sports, motorcycles, anything like that, whenever you have factory stuff that has the name of it, it's going to be more expensive. But look, Polaris doesn't manufacture it, Can-Am doesn't manufacture it, they outsource it, and then they stamp their brand on it. So for what it's worth, there it is. So here's your completed attached mirror set. If you want to go ahead and zoom back out, you can get a nice look at it here. It adds a pretty good profile, and to be honest with you, the mirror in here does move as well, which is nice. It's just a nice little push, and it's pretty robust. But if you do hit something with it, it will fold in and it won't break. So that wraps up the install on the Trail S or Razor mirrors from Kimimoto. Appreciate your time. Thank you very much for watching the channel, and ride hard.